Conversations with Nicole. Let's talk about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I wanna know what's on your mind. Ooh, the world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about. Let's talk about. Yeah. Let's talk about conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host. And Conversations with Nicole is a talk show based in Tallahassee, Florida, focused on connecting the community through conversations. And today is what I call Wellness Wednesday, which is an opportunity for you, me, and my guests to chat about whatever it is we want to chat about. And today we are honoring Black History Month. We are talking about heirs property and Black land loss with my very special guest, attorney Felicia S.W. Thomas, who is no stranger to Conversations with Nicole. I believe this is her third visit with us, and we are super excited and delighted to have her with us again. But before I bring her on, I want to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, as well as on my LinkedIn page. So this is an interactive live, and we want your comments and your questions. So let us know where you're tuning in from. Put your city and state in the comments so we can give you a shout out. I see you, Miss Benita. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. So others may be joining us shortly. I'm going to go ahead and share attorney Felicia S.W. Thomas's bio. She is a practicing attorney with 26 years of experience, a published author, and an editor. She received her BS degree in journalism from the Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, go Rattlers, and her Juris Doctorate degree from Florida State University College of Law, go Knowles. She has obtained legal experience in a variety of areas, including the Second Judicial Circuit's Public Defender's Office, the Florida Parole Commission, the Reemployment Appeals Commission, and the Florida Department of Revenue. Currently, Attorney Thomas' practice includes guardianship law, wills and probate, and VA disability law. She is also a professional guardian. Attorney Thomas serves on the board of several nonprofits and is a member of the Florida State Guardianship Association and the Florida Healthcare Association. Attorney Thomas has published a young adult novel, short stories, and served as a ghostwriter on other works. She's a native of Quincy, Florida, and the mother of 3 children. You all help me welcome attorney Felicia S.W. Thomas.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me back.
My pleasure. Good evening. Thank you for being here. So I'm going to have you share, if you don't mind, who are you? Not what you do, but who are you?
I am an individual who's always learning, always seeking to make myself better, to improve the lives of the people around me, to make this world better than when I came into it.
I love that. I love that. Wonderful. Well, thank you for, again, being here and sharing that. We have several folks who are chiming in. My mom is on down in Miami. Thank you for being here, Mom. We got Ozzy Daniel, who will be on next Monday. He's a clinician out of Virginia Beach. Thank you for chiming in, Ozzy. Miss Natasha Myers from Miami. Thank you for being here. And Miss Donna Wallace, also in Miami. These are my high school classmates, y'all. I'm so glad y'all are here today. This is a very important topic. We got Miss Gloria Sellers from the BK Brooklyn in the house. Thank you for being here. And also Miss Sonia B, who is here in Tally. Sonia and I are having a cocktails and conversations event tomorrow at 6:30 at Southwood. And actually, not tomorrow, Friday, 6:30 at Southwood. And tonight is the last today that you can get your early bird tickets. So you all check out that information on our social media. All right, Bonita is representing Quincy, Florida. Thank
That's
you.
Quincy in the house.
The big Q, yes. All right, and we got Tracy Golay on here. Thank you for being here, Tracy, and Miss Deanna Miller. Hello, beautiful people. Thank you for being here, Squeaky. She is here in Tallahassee as well. All right, so this is a kind of a loaded topic because heirs property is something that I think folks have kind of heard about, but don't really kind of know what it's all
Right.
about. And so I'm
Right.
so glad we've had you on previously. We talked about guardianship. You were on with Attorney Karen. We
Kim.
also
Mhm.
talked about end of life planning, and so this conversation tonight really comes as a result of that conversation, and people
Mhm.
wanted to talk about heirs property. So, oh, we got Miss Teresa Palmer Nix on Tally Ho. Thank you for being here, co-owner of Joe Ellen's Restaurant. We appreciate you so much. So let's start by just kind of unpacking it in terms of a definition of what it is. And we're talking about heirs property and
Yes.
black land law. So let's just unpack all of that.
Yes. So heirs property is property that has been passed down through generations
Mm-hmm.
from the original purchaser to their descendants without a will. And it continues to pass until we've got conceivably hundreds of people who own the property. They own it together, they own it individually, but they don't have clear title to it. So the more people that pass away, the more difficult it becomes to clear the title. Now they can live on it, but they can't mortgage it, they can't sell it. And if there's a disaster, they may not be eligible for public assistance.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of risks to having heirs property. And we'll get into all the things that can happen and why it's such a pervasive problem in this country,
Mm-hmm.
and a pervasive problem in terms of people not doing anything to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Because as far back as 1910, there were Black farmers, we're talking just farmers, had about 16 million acres.
Mm.
Today, that's about 3 million, and it could be less now.
Yeah.
Every day, people are losing their property.
Mm-hmm.
Which is,
So I want to get the viewers involved from the standpoint of if any of you have heirs property, or um, and have, meaning you are a party to some property that a relative, an ancestor may have left, and there was no will. Anybody part of heirs property, or have family members that may be involved with heirs property, let us know in the comments. And again, no judgment, safe space. We are just communicating with one another. I think that the mystery behind it is, for at least from my perspective, is that from we're talking about property that's been passed on,
yes,
and we haven't necessarily had wills, and
right,
and that's also part of just our experience here in America,
yes,
right?
yes,
As
yes,
African Americans, as Black folks, as Negroes, right?
right,
And we're
right,
out to read and write and that sort of thing. And so, these type of legal matters just have kind of fallen to the wayside, right?
right, right. Well, earlier in this century, last century, people just didn't know. They were not given advice. Attorneys, white attorneys would not counsel them about how to protect their property. So they did it the only way they knew how. But now that we know how, the problem is the families, the fractured families, these disputes that get in the way of taking care of the family's business.
Mm-hmm.
We have great grandparents worked really hard to purchase this property for their family,
Right.
and they had no idea that 40, 50 years later that property is gone
Mm,
because we can't get along.
yeah.
There's a grudge, a 40-year grudge keeping us from enjoying this property, from increasing wealth, for leaving a legacy for the generations coming behind us.
Mm-hmm.
That's the greatest problem.
It is. It is. All right. We got a few people that chimed in. General Semi Pringle. Okay. Good evening. Thank you for being here. And then BB Ryder said hello, Deborah, and yes. Okay. So yes. And then my mom chimed in that she's also dealing with that. So, it can be really sticky, messy.
Yes.
It could be a terrible issue because you may have somebody that is trying to clear title or get some of this resolved from the standpoint of having clear title and ownership to the property. And then you have some members that have a say or a stake that don't want to cooperate for
Right.
whatever reason. And so
Correct.
what can people do if they are dealing with family members that aren't cooperating?
Well, of course, as an attorney, I would recommend someone, it doesn't have to be everybody, someone go and talk to an attorney.
Mhm.
There are attorneys who will charge a consultation fee. That seems to scare people off. But
Mhm.
when you compare that consultation fee to the value of the property you're losing, I would think it's worth it.
Yeah.
So you go in and sit with the attorney to find out, what do we need to do to get this cleared?
Mhm.
An attorney needs to know how many people are in this family that own the property, how many people have passed away, who's
Mhm.
the original purchaser. And the more people there are in the family, yes, it will be expensive because all of their estates have to be probated,
Mhm.
each and every one, until the property is funneled down to a living generation. And
Okay.
so at that point, they can decide, what do we do now? Once it's cleared, you put it in a will, you put it in an LLC, a trust, something that protects it from becoming heirs property again.
Mhm. So let's talk about that a little bit. Once you've, like you said, funneled it down to a living generation, what are, so you mentioned some options. So,
Mhm.
put it in a will, put it in a trust. What does that look like?
They would also talk to their attorney about what vehicle they want to put it in.
Okay.
This is a family discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I urge people, if they have family reunions, talk about it then.
Yeah.
Uh, get something in writing, get the property appraised so they know what it is we're working with. You could be sitting on $100,000 worth of property, and there may be one person paying property taxes. That person gets tired, or they die themselves, and who's left to take care of it? Now, you can lose that property in 2 years to a tax sale.
Mm.
2 years.
Wow.
So it's a discussion that needs to be had. If
Mm.
there are family members that don't get along, seek out a mediator, a non-family member. Maybe they'll hear it better from somebody who's not part of the family,
Right.
somebody who's objective, and make a plan.
Now, there are mediators that are, I don't know if they're certified or licensed or
Mhm.
what have you,
They're
that
certified.
okay. And so you can get a certified mediator to help you sift through these things.
Yes.
It would be uh, beneficial to have a neutral
Right.
third party
Right.
to, work through the issues and try to help you come to some type of, you know, a common ground,
Yes.
you know, that
Yes.
sort of thing. So mediators are also used in these types of matters.
Yes.
Mhm,
Yes. I
mhm,
also want to point out that heirs property is vulnerable to predatory developers. Now,
mm,
they target owners of this heirs property. They
mhm,
specifically look for these people because they know all they need to do is find the weak link.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if there are 100 people who own this property, all they need is one person who has 1/100th interest
Mm.
in their property. They buy it, and now they have a seat at the table, and they
Wow.
can systematically take the rest of the property through partition,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes quiet title. In state of Florida, the Uniform Heirs Property Partition Act allows family members first to buy out that property.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can't afford it, then, that person who's intent upon taking it can, come and wipe them out.
Yeah.
So that's another reason the family needs to talk, have these discussions.
Indeed, indeed. We got Brother Kufu on with us. He said, "Hello, everyone. Great subject." So Kufu is a contractor and knows about lands.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. And so BB said, "Wow, yes, wow
Yes,
is right."
yes,
So again, I cannot stress enough the importance of, families coming together and having these conversations and exploring what the options are. Attorney Thomas has already mentioned, find out what the value is of the land and then look at what your options are in terms of a will, a trust, a LLC. Do you want to lease the land to someone that wants
yes,
to do something to it? Do you
yes.
want to turn it into a solar a solar farm,
Right.
or you
Sell
know
timber.
sell timber or use it for agricultural purposes?
Right,
There's so many things that land could be used for. Do you want to build an Airbnb on it and rent it out? I mean,
right,
there's so many things that can be done. So you're not limited. The only limits are your thoughts, your mindset about it,
right,
right? Mm,
right. Like USDA offers those programs you just mentioned, but
mm,
without clear title, the families can't take advantage of it. That's
exactly.
how they build wealth.
Yeah,
Make that property income producing.
indeed.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm curious, and maybe no one on the live again has had this experience in terms of what we're talking about, like making this an income producing piece of property. But if you have, I definitely would be curious
Hmm.
to hear, or learn about your experience, or folks that are watching the replay, if you don't mind sharing kind of what you've done, if you've gone through the process of turning heirs property into a will, a trust, a LLC, and kind of what you all are doing with the property now, because I think it helps to have some real life examples
Yes.
that folks can aspire to, because again,
Right.
maybe they don't know what they don't know, and
Right.
aren't aware of these different vehicles that are available to help make this land income generating for the family.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And when they talk to the attorney, tell them how many acres they have and their aspirations for the property. It might be just that one person, the one paying the taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, everybody's responsible for those taxes, but usually it's just one or two people paying them.
Right.
So the family needs to come together. It's sad to see the generation, the younger generation, so apathetic. They say, I don't want the property. I'm not going to do anything with it. So
Mm-hmm.
there it is, gone. It's like throwing gasoline on $100,000 and burning it up. That's what you're doing. You're
Yeah.
getting rid of your family's wealth, your legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And, it might be expensive, but start somewhere. The few who are interested in getting it done, scrape up what money you have,
Right.
talk to the attorney and say, this is what we can do now. You
Mm.
may be able to work something out on the back end, but if you don't start, you
Somewhere.
always have this burden, and that the thought of losing it is always at your back. It's,
Mm-hmm.
it's ever closer. The more these developers want this property, and they will stop at nothing to get it.
At all. I was telling you the other day that I get calls and text messages about my grandmother's property down in Miami, and they are relentless. I
Mhm.
mean, they call and tell me, try to talk to me about other family members
Mhm.
and are asking me about them. And I have gotten upset, really
Yes.
upset, in talking to some of these people. And so now I don't even entertain it. I just hang up. And
Right.
once I, realize what it's all about, I just hang the phone up.
Exactly. And they can look at court records to see if there are any tax liens. They can find them that way.
Yeah.
They might drive through the country and see a property where there are a lot of homes on one piece of property and may guess that this is probably Heirs Property.
Mm-hmm.
They are dedicated to finding that property because it's so easy for them to take it.
Yeah.
So you got to fight back. You got to start. Don't sit on your hands and think, oh well, it's okay, but it's not. Your property's shrinking.
It is.
Yes.
Salsa Diva is on saying trying to get families to agree now. Yes. So any suggestions? I know this is your area of expertise.
Yes.
You deal in trust and probate and that sort of thing. Any best practices that you've seen in terms of trying to get family members together to agree?
Other than the mediator, I mean, just constantly talking to them. I think money is the key.
Mm,
If the property has been appraised, and maybe send out a newsletter to the family and say, this is what the property is worth. These are the things we can do with the property once the title is clear. Let's
mhm.
come together. Let's all pitch in to pay for someone to help us get the title clear. If you want to sell your interest, we will buy it.
Mhm.
Don't sell it to anyone else.
Yeah.
That's the best advice I can give. And you can help also by starting a family tree. That's very cost effective.
Mhm.
Start your family tree. You want to get the name of the person, their date of death, the county of death, and whether they had a will or not. And
Mm.
sometimes when people have a will, that will might be invalid. We talked about that the last episode. If it's an invalid will, it's not properly signed or witnessed, then you're back at intestate succession.
Mhm.
So have an attorney look at it. I know a lot of people are, hesitant about talking to attorneys. They're afraid of what the cost might be.
Mhm.
But I would say the uncertainty will cost you more.
Absolutely. All right. So Natasha said that does Florida law recognize a common law wife for heirs property? My deceased great uncle left property, no will. My mom didn't fight over his common law wife staying on it, but now she is deceased.
No, Florida doesn't recognize common law marriages.
Okay.
It had to be a legal marriage.
So, I know this is a specific case, but
Yes.
if the uncle, so say the uncle had
No will.
no will and no children, right? So just say the uncle had
Yes.
no children, would the law look to other living relatives? So like a niece, for instance?
Yes, it depends if he was the original purchaser. That's the key. If
Okay.
he's the original purchaser of this property, he had
Mhm.
no children. And if his parents are alive, the property goes up.
Okay.
And if his parents aren't living, it goes out to siblings.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's intestate succession.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Mhm.
So yeah, that intestate is you don't want that.
Right. It's serious. The law dictates who gets your property.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's why it's so important to do a will. You don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to have a ton of assets. But if
Mhm.
you have an interest, just an interest, even if it's not clear, put it in a will.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's no confusion.
Mhm. But the will does need to be
It
properly.
needs to be a valid will. That's why, people may try and do their own wills, which is not prohibited, but at least have an attorney look at it
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
make sure it's valid. The worst time to find out that it's invalid is after you died. And now we're back at Florida law.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Yes. Indeed.
People have to get over their fear of attorneys. I mean, they get bad reps, true, but there are a lot of good attorneys out there who just want to help. They're not looking to gouge people, because this is important to me. Is growing up in Quincy, all I heard about was Heir Property. It was like a badge of honor. And now I'm learning it's anything but. And there
Mm-hmm.
are people still living on Heir Property, and they don't know how risky that is.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. All
Mhm.
right. Sonia, she said, my brother says you're gonna pay now or pay later.
Absolutely.
And then her late husband always said you pay now or pay later.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All
Which
right.
is the greater cost.
Exactly. Teresa said, right in the middle of this now with my husband's family, 10 siblings,
Mhm.
all
Mhm.
deceased, 2 with no spouse and no children. We, the family as a whole, hired an attorney and recently had a Zoom meeting on the property's value. No one wanted to pay for an appraisal. Really? Property is located in Jackson County, Florida. Wow.
Wow. That's very sad.
It is.
That's very sad.
I mean, because appraisals will cost you. I mean, I guess it depends on how
How many acres? And
yeah.
since she already has an attorney, but my general advice would be for one person. If one person can afford it, get the appraisal so the rest of the family can see what the value is. Then
Mm-hmm.
work on maybe being reimbursed later. But
Right.
because nobody wants to do anything, it's still as if you're doing nothing. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it takes just that one person.
Yeah.
Like I read a story about this family in North Carolina where they had the same issue,
Mm-hmm.
and one member of the family decided she would not lose any more of her parents' property
Mm.
to outsiders. And
Wow.
she took the bull by the horns,
Mm-hmm.
and she did what was necessary to protect the rest of that property.
Really?
So it can be done, even
Can't.
if there are reticent family members. You can't let that stop you.
Yeah.
You can't.
Oh, again,
Mhm.
it can really be
Daunting. It
contentious.
can be frightening.
It
And
can be contentious, I'm telling you. So
yes,
listen, we gotta be like-minded people. Not be thinking that somebody is out to pull the wool over your eyes. And maybe there are folks that are like that,
yes,
but if you all come together, your hearts and your minds are in the right place, which is this is, our ancestor, our loved ones' property,
yes.
and we want to
Want to preserve
evaluate.
it.
Yeah, we
Mhm.
want to preserve it, or if we don't want to keep it, at least benefit from the proceeds of selling it. But
Right.
if you don't have, if it's intestate, and if it's heirs property, you're not gonna get anything.
No, no, you can live on it because you do possess it, but clear title is what gets you the wealth. It
Hmm.
gets you that undisputed ownership.
Yes, yes,
Hmm.
yes, yes.
So,
All right. So we are almost at about halfway through our conversation. For those of you who are just joining us, I am on with attorney Felicia S.W. Thomas, and we are discussing heirs property and Black land law specifically. I in my research before
yes.
we came on, kind of looked up heirs property, and one of the things that the USDA website pointed out is that heirs property is most predominant amongst
Yes.
African American
Yes.
landholders, contributing to the loss, like you mentioned, from
Mhm.
6 million to 4.7 million acres over the last 100 years.
Yes.
And
That's
so
an incredible amount of loss.
that is an incredible amount of loss, and we don't want that to continue to happen in our family. So, we have got to do a better job of, again, communicating with one another, of saving, so we will have some
Yes.
funds to take care of these types of things, like having an appraisal, like getting a consultation from an attorney, paying for a mediator. These we should be able to pool our monies together in order to take care of these types of expenses to handle our family business.
Exactly.
Mhm.
I'm not making a pitch for myself, but you have a family reunion, invite an attorney to come out and talk to the family to
That's
get to
good.
gauge who will cooperate. If you get enough people cooperating, then those who are not cooperating at that time may eventually come around. But it may have to start with just the one person.
Yeah, you may have to start with just one
Mm-hmm.
person. So I know we had mentioned that there are some programs that might be available to assist folks that have heirs property, and maybe some loans to help cover some of the expenses if they,
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, that's the USDA Heirs Property Relending Program. Families can apply. It's just like any other loan, but the terms are so much better. But there's a wait list, and they have to go through a program in which they help you from the cradle to the grave, helping you get the money to use it to clear title, and then develop a plan to make it income producing so that you can, number one, repay the loan, and number two, to continue to build that wealth. So you got to at least apply. And while you're doing that, you can build that family tree. They offer free mediation, which is key. They're very good mediators who can try and get to the heart of whatever the discord is, and try and get as many people as possible on the same page. The entire family doesn't have to attend mediation, maybe a representative from each branch of the family can come at the table, and as many sessions as it takes, or at some point the mediator says you guys are never going to agree, but they're not going to give up that easily. So there's that. Legal Services in North Florida has an heirs property program, but of course their funds are limited. There's one or two attorneys handling those cases, and there's only so much they can do. So you can't assume that you'll be able to get through that program.
Right.
So, but there may be other nonprofits out there, I'm sure there are, who will at least get people started in getting it done.
So, but the thing about it is you got to look into it, right? You got to do your research, your due diligence, and see what's out there.
Right.
Okay. So Benita had a comment. She said, my friend's father gathered her and her siblings here recently to talk about who gets what, and the discourse among the decisions have already started. I asked why he won't just create a will. Do you think that would be the best way or no? To create a will?
It depends on what he wants to do, but certainly a will, if nothing else. It depends on what he wants everybody to have, because again, he can tell them what they want, but it's not going to happen without probate. If there's no will, the will still has to be probated. There are other vehicles such as ladybird deeds. There are deeds with rights of survivorship. There's several things he can do, but if he does nothing, that's how heirs property happens. This is how it's created. So maybe show him some articles, those documentaries about how heirs property started at the top. And it just continued to pass down. It's like, well, we can use it, but we won't have clear title. We won't be able to do anything with it.
Right.
So I would urge you to get him to at least do a will.
Okay. She said they were disagreeing on who should receive what.
Well, it's your father's property. They don't have a say. He gets to decide who gets it. He can decide to give it away to a charity. It's his property. So families do have those discussions with the beneficiaries. I personally would not recommend that, because they don't get to decide what they get from you. You can decide to spend it all during your lifetime and have nothing to leave them.
You could.
You
absolutely could.
You make a will, you can change it. every day if you want to, as long as it's valid.
She said that's what I said, because it's her friend who was going through
Right.
this with
Yes.
her siblings. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, I think, and this is just based on what you've said, like at bare minimum, a will would be in order. But again, it just kind of depends on what he wants to do with
Right.
his possessions.
Right. And if
Hmm.
he has land, he should certainly do something with it now.
Hmm.
Because tomorrow's not promised to us,
Yeah.
and the
And
siblings aren't agreeing now.
right. So just imagine what it's gonna be like once he's
Right.
gone.
Yes.
So yeah. Ooh, all right. Well, I really I'm still like just blown away by this whole 16 million acres
Acres
that has dwindled
reduced to 3
down to
million.
3 or 4 million
Hmm.
acres.
Right.
So, 11, 12 million acres just gone.
Lost.
Right.
Right.
And that's to, yeah, these predatory developers, that's to probably local governments, maybe even, to, just to a whole host of folks. So,
Right. Right. You have to be vigilant and start today. If you buy property,
mhm,
put it in a vehicle immediately. Immediately. um, you know, uh, if you have children, you want your children to have it, go ahead and maybe do a quit claim deed, a warranty deed. You
okay.
could do a ladybird deed where you still own it and it passes to them upon your death. Put
Mhm,
something in writing and let somebody know where it is. And I'd like to go back to, doing the work to get the property cleared, the title cleared.
mhm,
Have different family members, those who will cooperate, start building that tree and gathering death certificates.
mhm.
If you intend to hire an attorney to help you get it cleared, do that lead work yourself. That will save you a lot of money,
Yeah.
because if the attorney has to do it, that's their time,
Mhm,
as well as the expense of ordering death certificates. So there, again, go and talk to somebody to find out what you can do to help yourself.
mhm. Yeah. Those billable hours, they add up.
Yes, because it is work. It's a lot of work, lots of court
Mhm,
time, inevitably hearings. You got to find people who are missing.
mhm.
And you got hundreds of people who own, 5 acres. You got to find all of them.
Mhm,
And you sharing property with people who have passed away, people who are
mhm.
deceased. That's no way to own property.
Yes, ma'am. You are absolutely correct. All right. Javon Mobley has joined us from Atlanta. She said this is good
Mhm.
information.
Yes.
Thank you for being on, Javon. We appreciate that. So again, I feel like I feel like a broken record, y'all, tonight.
Yes.
Seriously, because we just gotta do better. We
Yes.
just got to do better.
Yes. I've done several of these presentations, talking to people, and I'm still amazed that not a lot of people are ready to do anything. And
Mm,
usually it's the elderly people in the family, maybe the last living child of the original purchaser, who's
mm,
somebody's great grandmother.
mm,
And they're the only ones who seem to be concerned about saving the property, because the generation below,
right.
they have no interest.
Mm,
They don't want to help pay. They don't want to do the upkeep. They don't
mm,
want to come into any meetings. But if somebody were to do the work and get the title clear, and then they find out, oh, this property is worth X. Oh, now I'm going to sit at the table.
right.
So that's what we're seeing. It's the elderly who are leading the charge, but then I guess they're still a little distrustful,
Mhm. They are.
and they're not wealthy people. So it's the cost is what scares people away.
Right, 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 right. All right, Javon said it's crazy. The last statement was said, a group of friends and I were talking about buying 100 acres, but now I'm rethinking.
It can be done. Just make sure you talk about how you want to protect the property.
Yes.
That conversation needs to be had before you put $1 down on that property. Go and talk to an attorney about it.
Yeah.
Unless one of you is an attorney, but I'm telling you, the cost you would save on the back end just by talking to somebody before you do something, before you take an action.
Yeah. No. Very good advice.
Mhm.
Because again, it's a legal document. These are binding things that we're
Yes,
taking, right? You talking about
yes,
buying land with some friends.
right. Friends, because you're going to be friends forever. Make sure you prepare for that. You may fall out. What happens if we get into a fight or we disagree about something and we're not talking to each other anymore? You've got to look ahead and anticipate these kinds of problems,
You do.
because it's kumbaya. We got all this property. We're going to make $1 million. And if it takes 10 years, somebody might, get ambivalent.
Yeah.
They might, become, they don't trust the rest of the people. I want my money out of it and they can't get it. That creates problems. So
It does.
have a seat at the table and discuss any and everything that could happen and put it in writing.
Put it in
A
writing.
binding contract between the parties that addresses these issues.
Yes. Definitely put it in writing. Again, hopefully you all would be like-minded and, keep whatever goals in mind for that 100 acres, whatever you plan to do with it. Again, if you're going to make it an income generating piece of property, whether, again, if that's something from an agricultural standpoint or putting properties for rental or Airbnb or, something like that, or so like I said, solar, wind,
Sky's the limit,
it's
right?
a
What
whole
you can
lot of
do with it.
things, that could be done. It could be used again for agricultural purposes or farming, with livestock. Just a whole bunch of things. 100 acres could go a long way. So
Right.
it just
Exactly.
depends. It depends on what you want to do. But again, it can be done. It can be done. So don't want to discourage folks, but just, realize the seriousness of it, the severity of it, and again, the importance of putting things in writing.
Yes.
Yes. So, we talked a little bit about these predatory developers
Mhm.
that will, kind of do their research and
Right.
do their best to get into the hearts and the minds of the heirs,
Yes.
to maybe even turn them against one another. Um,
Yes.
is there something that can be done with them, like a cease and desist or something, so that they won't continue to kind of harass you?
If,
Because,
if it's legal,
hmm
it's legal for them to ask you, do you want to sell your property?
yeah, but I'm telling you,
It's,
these people are
yes, they
ruthless.
are relentless. Yes. So it's when I would say if somebody's psycho calling you, texting you, sending you letters about your property, that gives me a clue that this property might be worth something.
Hmm
So if they want it that badly, let me go and see what it's worth. Because if you sell it, they're only going to give you pennies on the dollar,
Right.
and then turn around and sell it for millions.
hmm
So this is why the whole family needs to be involved. Like, are you getting these letters? Well, let's come together and see what this is about. Let's
Right.
maybe bring in somebody from the outside who's not part of the family and maybe
hmm
explain this,
Yeah.
because all it takes is one person down on their luck to sell that tiny interest.
hmm
And that's how it happens.
Yeah. For
Mhm.
sure. All right. So again, get an appraisal. Maybe get a mediator. Again,
Yes.
do your due diligence
Yes.
as an heir to this property.
Yes.
All of this is part of end of life planning.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's why, when you're talking about heirs property, it's kind of the result of failure to plan.
Mm-hmm.
In
Yeah.
this generation, we have no excuse. Our older parents, great grandparents, they didn't know, but we know. So
Mm-hmm.
there's no excuse for heirs property to continue into the next century,
Indeed.
because by the next century, that 3 million could be 1 million.
Mm-hmm. It
It
could
could
be.
be.
It could be.
It could be.
Donna says, I don't understand the hesitation to create a will by the older generation, especially since they have seen the confusion that happens after the death of someone. Indeed.
Well, all I can say is that superstition is real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It could be a variety of reasons, but I've heard, if I make a will, then, I'm going to die tomorrow.
Mm.
That's not the case.
Oh,
And even
yeah.
though they've seen that, death brings out the worst in people.
I forgot we had talked about that.
Yes.
Those superstitions that
Yes.
exist in the community, in the Black community, that if you
Yes.
talk about death and dying, from the standpoint of having a will and the end of life planning, that it's going to happen to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If you're 18 and you are an heir to this property, you can make a will.
Mm-hmm.
You can make a will. And
Okay.
especially when you see the ugliness that comes out when people die and they have a little bit of assets.
Right.
And don't you want to protect your family from that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
Indeed. You should want to protect your family.
you should, because it's when you're grieving, you don't want to have to worry about who's taking mama's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mama said that was mine, but it doesn't really belong to anybody.
Right.
The state says who gets it.
Listen, and y'all, especially like these things that are in the house, it's just stuff.
Right.
It's just stuff.
Right.
Lord have mercy.
Right.
Anyway,
I've seen the worst. Yes.
I'm sure you have.
Yes.
Mm.
So I encourage, I'm going to beat this drum. I encourage you, anybody, any one of these heirs, to go and talk to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Get some idea of what the cost might be and bring it to those who may want to help, who should want to help.
Mm-hmm.
And if they've got those who just won't cooperate, even if, they know they could stand to benefit significantly,
Mm-hmm.
still take the steps to get the party started, get the process going.
Get the process going.
Get
Yeah.
it going,
So Tracy said a grandmother from my old neighborhood put her son and grandson's name on the deed. She and her son died within years of each other. The grandson served in the military, but upon his discharge, oh, Tracy, you got cut off. So if you can share the rest of the story with us in another comment box. Kufu said Black people have lost more land through eminent domain and heirs property than any other way. We must learn the physical, spiritual, and financial value of land.
That's correct. And even with eminent domain, there are ways to possibly go back and recover that land. I'm sure you've all heard the story about that family in California that owned that beach. That was taken through eminent domain.
Oh,
It
wow.
took decades, but they finally got it back. So it can be done.
Yeah.
It can be done.
Tracy commented, okay, so the grandson served in the military, but upon his discharge, he got caught up in the streets and ended up signing the property over for $100. The person who robbed him will make $150,000.
This is how it happens. It's down on his luck.
It's heartbreaking.
Yes, it is. And it happens way too often.
Mm-hmm.
Way too often.
Wow. All right. So yeah, we have gotta do better, y'all. We gotta do better. Yes. Javon said, wow.
Yes, it's very pervasive. And I'm preaching to the choir, but I can't force anybody to do anything. I can just give them the information I have, and it's up to them to take the first step.
Well, and that's why you're here. So hopefully through the folks that are with us right now, as well as those who will watch the replay, because these folks that are with us now are going to share this.
Yes.
And so they are going to do their due diligence. They are going to secure mediators. They are going to get appraisers,
Yes.
appraisals for their property, and they are going to come together with their family and work it out. They're going to figure
Yes.
out how they want to protect their property, what vehicle they want to use, whether it's a will, a trust, an
Hmm.
LLC.
Yes.
Do they want to do quick claim deed or what have you? So
Hmm.
we are going to.
Yes.
I am
You-
affirming this
Right.
on this 21st day of February
Yes.
2024. I am affirming we are going to do this, right, y'all?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely.
Nick said she already shared at the
Yes.
start of the show. I appreciate that, Bonita. I mean, this is serious business, y'all.
Yes.
We gotta make this happen. Tasha said,
Right.
amen. I
Yes.
appreciate that. We gotta make this happen.
Right.
That's a lot of property.
It is. We've got that wealth right there within reach. And can you imagine just throwing it away
Mm-mm.
like that? And it happens often, very.
Mhm. Indeed, indeed,
Yes.
indeed. All
So,
right. Dr. Harrison is on. Thank you for being here. She said, thank you, and we are going to do this. Yes, I love it. I love it.
yes.
I love it. Yes. Yeah, we got to affirm it. We got to make it happen. So start with baby steps. Again,
Yes.
first thing you might want to do, like she says, get the property appraised. Appraisal, again, depending on how much acreage, is probably
Hmm.
going to cost you a few $100s.
Yes.
But it's going to be a worthy investment because
Exactly.
you'll know what you're working with,
Right. You see, if
right?
it's worth it to do this to get the title clear, we can stand to make this much money and all we have to pay is this
Yep.
up front. Let's do it. What are we waiting for?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Yes. Coach Merv is on. He's over in Madison. He said, I'm sorry I'm late, but I'm here for you. I appreciate you, Coach Merv. Tell the people. I know it's a whole bunch of heirs property over there in Madison, probably.
Oh,
So tell
yes.
the people that
Yes.
get their papers, their life
Yes.
in order, their affairs in order. That's what we're talking about. Getting our affairs in order and not
Yes.
allowing us to continue to lose this wealth. We talk
Yes.
about Black land loss, Black folks that have heirs property that has not been included in a will, not included in a trust or LLC. And while we may possess it, we do not own it.
So
Yes.
yes, I'm willing to talk to any groups. I mean, because it affects my family, my community,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to see people prosper. I want to see them use that property for their benefit. I hate to see, I think Capital Circle might have had some heirs property. Now look at
Mm.
what that became.
Yeah. Yeah.
That somebody's family property, a legacy that somebody else used to make them wealthy.
Right.
It's
Right.
time we stop giving away our wealth.
Let's stop it. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, Coach Murray said, wow, awesome topic. Dr. H said, as a matter of fact, siblings just asked me to draw up a trust today. Wonderful. Yes. Love to hear that. Diva Lock said, I'm dealing with that now. Grandparents passed, huge
Mhm.
family, no names on the land. I'm the only one paying the taxes, so the land remains in the family for future generations. Please handle business. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we sending our thoughts and prayers and well wishes with you, Diva Lock, as you continue
Yes.
to navigate through that and maintain, try to hold on to that property that your
Yes.
grandparents had. All right, Javon said also check for mineral rights on the property. Is it rare that value is under the property? Yes, but you
But
never know.
right. If
Mhm.
you don't get it appraised, you won't get it surveyed.
Mhm.
You got to do something other than just live on it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that
Mhm.
might require maybe a soil test or some type of additional inspection. So good
Right.
point, Javon. Thank you for
Right.
sharing. Yeah.
You may also want to approach some USDA offices and explain to them what it is you're trying to do, that it is heirs property, but maybe you can get somebody to come out there
Mm-hmm.
and appraise it for future income producing opportunities.
Yeah.
That's another method to
Mm-hmm.
maybe get the family on board.
Yeah. 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 Again, definitely do your research, do your due diligence, because there is probably something that you can, place on the property
Mhm.
to generate some income. So,
Yes.
yes. All right. Pumpkin just joined us. Thank you for being here, Pumpkin. Ozzy said, "This is so informative and essential knowledge. I appreciate the deposit of it." Wonderful, Ozzy. Thank you. All right. So we are at the close of our conversation, but I, want to give you an opportunity to give some closing remarks and tell folks how they can connect with you.
Yes. Seek out an attorney. It doesn't have to be me,
Mhm.
but someone to at least have a conversation about how we can save this property.
Yeah.
I can be reached at info@fswthomaslaw.com or at 850-366-3910.
All right. And are you relegated to the North Florida area, or
The state of Florida.
okay, so you can serve the
State of
entire
Florida.
state of Florida.
Yes, I know attorneys in other states that I can refer people to. So,
Okay.
you have a resource.
Mm-hmm.
And in just one attorney, can put you in touch with all kinds of people that can help.
Wow. All right. Very good. So folks are chiming in. Gigi Sellers in MBK, who is actually from Tallahassee, Miss Gloria. She said family property on Capitol Circle taken through eminent domain.
Mm.
Grand uncle tried to defend it and was killed. I'm so
Yes,
sorry to hear that. And there probably are many other stories like that.
yes, I'm sure.
Unfortunately. Yes, unfortunately.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah. That's a heavy price
Yes,
to pay,
right,
the heavy price to pay. And to not win, right? Not to prevail,
right.
you know. But it's a different day, hopefully.
Yes,
And now we have our own lawyers that can, protect against these type of things,
right. Yes,
right?
they will fight for you.
That will fight for you.
Hmm.
All right. So we got folks chiming in saying thank you for the information.
So welcome.
Welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Repeat that, please. Oh, her information. I think that's what she's talking about when she said repeat that. So it's at the bottom right here, Dr. H. And of course, you can catch it in the replay as well.
Yes.
But yes, you can definitely reach out to Attorney Thomas, and she is happy to
Mhm.
assist. All right, Bonita, the great CWN, and Felicia, Attorney Thomas, keep winning.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. So, again, I gotta thank you for coming on for a third time to talk about these
Anytime.
important topics.
Mhm.
You connected me with somebody that is going to talk about trust, so I got to get that going and scheduled. So, hopefully, folks will take heed to this information that we're putting out. This is Wellness Wednesday, and wellness is not just mental wellness, but it's financial
Yes,
wellness, right?
yes,
So,
absolutely.
that is what we've been talking about. It's Black History Month. I think this is such an apropos topic for Black History Month as we are getting ready to close it out. So, for those of you who are watching the replay, please share this. For those of you who are on now, please share this, share this, share this. I think we all have family members or friends or loved ones that can benefit from the information that was given today. Let's keep this conversation going. And for those of you who are new to the platform, I invite you to subscribe to the Conversations with Nicole YouTube channel. We are here Mondays and Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. And the focus is on mental health and wellness in Black and Brown communities specifically. So, again, thank you, Attorney Thomas.
You're so welcome.
I appreciate you so much. And you all, we are going to close out, but y'all have a great rest of the week and a great weekend. Last weekend of Black History Month. So a lot of activities I know going on here in Tallahassee. But y'all be safe, and we will see y'all next time. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Bye.